Thanks for joining. This is episode 3 of Think with Armel. I appreciate you guys hopping in on this one. So today we're going to be having a conversation with Dr. Simon Duan. He's originally from China. He's based out of London. He came to the UK probably in the I don't know, 1960s. No, probably more like the 1980s. Either way, he's based out of London, and he's actually an engineer by training himself, and he focuses on what he calls the post-materialism paradigm. He basically has developed a framework or a theory that attempts to explain our reality, not just from a physical perspective, but also from a metaphysical perspective. And I don't necessarily mean it in an esoteric or spiritual way, even though that could be assumed. This is more of a pragmatic view of reality that includes what is seen and what is not necessarily perceived with, I don't know, with your five physical senses, so to speak. He told me a story about how he got started, and he had a tooth that he had to remove. And based on Western medicine, that would have been lots of surgeries and anesthetics. But he went to this one doctor based out of China, which one of his hospitals is not too far from Beijing, as I gather. Um, this tooth was removed in a matter of seconds, and he went to have lunch with the doctor right after that, which is unthinkable from a Western medicine perspective, because that would have been a procedure that would have kept you down probably for days. You wouldn't have been able to eat for days. You probably would have been on some type of fluids, maybe even an IV, just to make sure that you have, enough fluids in your system. But some way, somehow, this guy was able to remove that tooth like painlessly, effortlessly. And when he asked the doctor how he did it, the guy just told him he has some incantations that he says, and it sounds crazy and far-fetched, but this is an experience that he actually lived, and that basically sparked his interest. And he was trying to figure out if there's something that is missing from science today. And so um that's who this is. That's what he's about. And I think he started this thing called Metacomputics Lab. And I think I found a website. This is the website of Metacomputics Lab. So he broke down his theory, obviously, and I had a whole bunch of questions for him myself, trying to understand, because I have some personally, I have some queries about reality that have always been on my mind for a long time, that I've been trying to make sense of. And to make it simple, the answers are not very obvious to me, because I tend to really think about how things work and just probe them to try to understand the fundamentals. I just call it an innate trait. I just really like to figure out how stuff works. That's just how my brain works. And I don't know how our reality works. And sometimes it drives me up a wall. And this is not about figuring out if there's a God or there's no God, or if, we live in a multiverse or a universe. It's neither here nor there. It's just, okay, what is this, right? Where are we? Now, science gave us some very interesting clues. We are on a planet that is basically flying through space, and we are around a star that we call the sun, and then that star is orbiting, the galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy, which is humongous by itself. And based on what our telescopes are showing us, there's billions of galaxies like ours out there. And the question becomes, well, how could all this be? Where does all this come from? Everything seems to be moving. Everything seems to the most common structure we observe in the universe is a sphere. We know that stars, you know, are basically nuclear fusion reactors, sorry. They make a lot of energy. And so I guess the idea of this episode was to talk to somebody that had that had thought about this for much longer than I had, and had some ideas and had a framework that he's proposing. Now, obviously, when you have a theory, you need to test it and it needs to be repeatable following the scientific method. That's a completely different conversation. But this conversation was about unpacking what he calls, the metacomputics, basically figuring out how the universe itself, as think of the universe as a system, how does that system actually work? It's a mixture of what our science has already told us and a little bit of kind of get creative with it. How could it work? Because I believe that our minds and our brains are capable of understanding. It's just because ultimately all that is just information. Whatever the truth of our reality is just going to be a piece of information. It could be a phrase, it could be a word, it could just be an understanding of how it works. That doesn't mean that you need to go outside of the universe or to, that doesn't mean that if you haven't seen it, it's not true or anything like that. It just means that we 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 are attempting to understand our reality as we see it, as we observe it, as evidenced by what we see on a day-to-day basis. So, dear friends, I hope you enjoyed this conversation because I very much did. It was very, very insightful. And in a way, it was comforting because I figured I wasn't the only person freaking out about what our reality is. Not that it really makes a difference. We all come through this earth and this life and go. But in the time that we have here, I figured it might be one of those queries that I think would be fun to find out. Hey, how does our universe actually work? And that's kind of what this conversation is about. So, dear friends, this is Simon Duan. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. Thank you.
Don't know. And in my culture, there's a thing about talking to elders because people that are older usually have wisdom.
Yeah.
I like to listen to people that have been here longer than I am. That way I can learn. Because my mama gave me one of the things she told me that stuck with me all my life is, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And it's always good to listen to elders. And when somebody calls to you or speak to you, don't shut down. Listen
Mm-hmm.
and learn. You could learn it something good, you could learn something back, but either way, just listen and try to understand what they're trying to say. Don't just sit and assume that you know it all or you figured it out. No, because usually somebody that is older has seen more things than you, has heard more things, has experienced more. So it we usually pull from our elders, talk to them and listen to what they have to say and learn. Because that's a very good way to learn. Because experience is the best teacher. You know.
You mentioned UFO. Is that one of the subject you're interested in learning
Yes,
more?
yes, yes.
So
We have.
what are the main interests which
So,
you try to explore?
so I like to talk about ancient civilizations. I don't know if that's something that you get into as well. Actual UFOs, I really like to understand because there's a lot of information around whether it's man-made or it's alien or it comes from a different universe, it comes from a different star system. And I also like to understand um, talk about what I call reality. Like, what is this world? I was listening to another guy. His name is Billy Carson. He was saying that we live in a light matrix. So basically, everything is just energy, and when you see it, that's when it condenses back to that form. So there's things like that that I really would want to explore. The physics of reality. Like I think you said that our reality is like a rendering from another computer.
Hmm.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute, that's I guess that kind of makes sense because I think about a simulation in a software. You kind of render the graphics, you render everything, and then you see it appear in front of you. but then that computer that is creating that has energy from somewhere. And so there's all this, I kind of thought about it and it was like, okay, I got to talk to this guy. I want to really understand what he's talking about, so that's,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. Thank you for introduction about yourself and your background and some of your interest. Yeah. So let me start by introduce myself.
Okay.
I'm Simon Duan. I'm based in London,
Okay.
but I came to UK from China in 1980s as a student.
Oh,
So I came to study and I studied material science. I finished with a PhD in material science from Cambridge University. And then I worked in industry for decades, doing research and development and consultancy. And so that's my background. So at heart, I'm an engineer. And
okay.
so because I studied material science, I'm supposed to be a materialist. Yeah.
Hmm?
And
I have some questions, but go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, please interrupt if you need to. I would like to have this as a conversation instead of a lecture.
Okay.
So
Okay.
interrupt anytime if you want. Yeah.
All right. So you said you are a materialist. So when you said you did material science, I did a few courses on material science myself. We talked about I what comes to mind is this graph of I think it's iron and steel. How you once you change the concentration, the composition of the material, how the material changes. You can make a material quench at a higher temperature, lower temperature, add a little bit more nickel. So you can play around with steel and get all kinds of different qualities of steel. That comes to mind. I was like, okay, so you sound like an engineer to me, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So what you are talking about is a phase diagram.
Exactly. There you
Yeah,
go. I know
phase
you know what I'm
diagram.
talking about.
Yeah. You have a
Yes, yes.
temperature, you have ingredients. Yeah.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
composition,
So
you can add those in.
yeah, with increase of ingredients, you have the melting point.
Exactly.
Also, the phase transition temperature
Exactly.
changes with the ingredients. So
That's exactly
yeah,
right. You know exactly what I was talking
yeah.
about.
So it's engineering. It's a hard
And,
science. It is a
and
proven.
it's a
It's
proven science. So
yeah.
when you said I kind of ended up your career doing consulting, what kind of consulting did you do?
Uh, develop new products, new materials,
Oh,
and
wow.
new processes to making
Make
materials.
those materials.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm happily working in that area for decades. And then I encountered some paranormal experience. I encountered paranormal phenomena, which actually opened up my horizon. So it's like a rabbit hole. Once you get into paranormal, you find the materialist worldview is not sufficient anymore. Yeah. So the material science is not sufficient
To
anymore.
explain
To
everything that you
explain,
were able
yeah,
to.
yeah, to explain all the other phenomena, yeah, such as UFO.
Yeah.
So in the last 20 years, I have been trying to understand how paranormal can happen. Yeah. And what's the mechanism of
When you
those?
say paranormal, can you contextualize? Can you box it out? When you say paranormal, what exactly do you mean?
Uh, Paranormal has many categories, actually.
Okay.
Normally classified as the ESP, extrasensory perception. Yeah. And it means that you can visualize things without physical eyes. Yeah. Some people can actually visualize.
Kind of like you're dreaming or you're imagining something.
Yeah, it's not only imagination, but they can verify it. In the
Okay.
US, they used to have a Stargate. It's called Stargate
Or the
program.
remote viewing program.
Remote viewing program. Yeah. So there are some valid points in those kind of exploration. And so ESP, also including telepathy. Yeah. Some people knows. Yeah. People knows what other people's thinking. Yeah. So that's also kind of ESP, extrasensory perception. And another category is called psychokinesis, PK. Yeah.
Oh, being able to move objects with your mind.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, mind over matter. Yeah.
Okay.
So 20 years ago, when I was having a business trip in China, my wisdom tooth start to play up, and it become very painful. And I went to the dentist, and he said, "Oh, it's need an operation." And it probably need a general anesthetic because it's quite deep.
Yeah.
Difficult to get out. So one of my friends said, "Well, why don't you go to this place?" He said, "This dentist is doing a fantastic job." Then I realized later he's actually a kind of, what do I call it? It's kind of a witch doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to his clinic, and his walls full of photos of celebrities and politicians, even the members of Politburo, Chinese Communist Party Politburo, had to have their tooth taken out. So that was encouraging. Then I decided to have my tooth taken out by him. What he did was, it was truly magic. Yeah. There's no anesthetic, no blood clotting injection. And he just take it out effortlessly with a pair of tweezers. Then we went to lunch together. Yeah. This is not, wisdom tooth. It's a big one at the end.
The one behind.
Yeah. And I had some discomfort, but
and how long did it take out? How long was the procedure? Was it hours or minutes?
Oh, no. Just the seconds. I mean, you're talking about the seconds. Now I went to lunch together with him. And during the lunch, I asked him what happened actually. What the hell did you do to me? And he said, I have a incantation. Incantation is like a spell.
Word.
Yeah, it's a word. It's a 5-syllable incantation. It's like a spell. He said it's passed on from my generations, families, many generations. And he said, I use this to loosen my patient's tooth. And so I can take it out.
And this guy is in China today. So if
he's in China, he's doing it daily. He's got a big mountain teeth, all taken out by him.
Can you, just for the record, can you just tell, just for the record, like, where is it? What's his name? Where is this guy located in China?
His name is called Zhou Derong. He's got a couple of clinics. One of the clinic is actually in suburb of Beijing.
Okay.
Yeah, and he does it daily. I mean, it's
and it's like nothing. Like you just go in and get it removed.
Yeah. It's nothing. Yeah, it's just so easy. It's effortless. But he's got an incantation which he used that to loosen people's tooth. So I don't think he's cheating because I experienced myself.
Yeah.
And also all the celebrities, were his patients. Therefore, this triggered my interest into this field. As it become a new field, I become passionate in seeing more of those. Yeah.
Okay.
And since then, I spend most of my spare time, off-duty time, visiting people like him, visiting weird people and see what they can do. And then I open up my horizon. I met people who can do all sorts of things. So this triggered my interest. I mean, people can manifest herbal medicine, for example. Yeah, from thin air, they can get herbal medicine. And they can teleport stuff, teleport physical object from hundreds of thousands of miles away.
Into that today.
Yeah, today. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
If you have an opportunity to go to China, you can actually go to see him. See how he operates.
So have you met these people all around the world, or is there a specific area where you met all of them?
I think this is a widespread.
Widespread? Okay, so they are,
Yeah.
could be anywhere. There's this people
Could be anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this kind of thing, later I realize, is actually the history is as long as human civilization. Yeah.
And
So
how would you describe
yeah.
it? Would you describe it as technology or magic, or is it a mixture?
Well,
As you see it, in your opinion.
it's a technology. It's a high tech. Yeah. But this is technology which is beyond the materialist science. Yeah. So once we understand how this is done, it's actually a high technology, and it's not even new. I mean, people have been using.
It's actually old.
It's actually very old. It's high tech, but not new tech. Yeah. So in the last 2 decades, I have been trying to find an explanation for this phenomenon because I realize it cannot be explained by materialist science. We need a new science, new paradigm to explain different phenomena beyond material phenomena. Yeah. So when you think about it, actually, the material science require repeatability, yeah, independent variability, including public kind of validation. Yeah. However, if you think about it, this is only a subset of phenomena. Yeah, the nature has all sorts of phenomena, but science only concentrate on a kind of repeatable, verifiable in the lab. Yeah, you can put it in the lab to verify it.
There's a whole other category that is not necessarily repeatable.
Yeah.
You cannot box it out the way we box our conventional.
No. But they exist. Yeah. So they deserve explanation. Yeah. That has been the driving force for me to develop a new scientific paradigm.
Is that what you call Platonic computation?
That's right. That's the sort of theoretical framework I have developed, which is based on the simulation hypothesis, actually.
Okay, could you lay it out to us? So what is Platonic computation? And maybe you can preface that by talking a little bit about the simulation theory, and then let's go into.
Okay. Yeah. Simulation hypothesis isn't actually new. Yeah. Back in 1969, we have a German computer scientist, Rossi, and he was actually a pioneer in computer. He had invented the first programmable computer back in 1940s. Yeah. So he in 1969 speculated. He was the first one speculated the universe maybe computer is a big computer. Yeah. So that was in 1969. And no one took him seriously. Yeah. Until 1990, we had another famous physicist, John Wheeler. Yeah, he proposed a very famous now phrase called "it from
About
bit."
50 years ago, about 55 years ago when he first said that.
Yeah. It from bit was a phrase coined by John Wheeler. That was in 90s.
It from bit. Okay.
It
Okay.
from
It
bit.
Bit
Yeah,
is like the bit in the computer, right? It is like a physical thing.
that's right. Yeah, it from bit. Yeah, meaning everything physical has information as its fundamental. Yeah. So, but what actually made the simulation hypothesis very popular is the movie Matrix.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Now,
So the
I'm gonna pause you for a second. So most of my viewers may or may not know this already, but I'm gonna shout it out. I actually published my first book last year around this time, and the title of that book is The Matrix Explained: How Redefining Your User Role. That's my first book, and I think it's a great read. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, you mean you written a book?
Yeah. I published it. I published my first book last year. It's called and you can search. You can Google my name with that title, or you can go to Amazon. It's on all platforms. You can have the
Oh,
physical, hard copy, paperback. Yeah, it's
do you have a hard copy you can show
yes,
us?
yes.
So the
I actually have there's a copy of my bookshelf right here, and then I have two versions, right? So this is the hardcover.
oh wow,
Yeah, and then this is the paperback version. So, and
wow.
also audio and Kindle versions available for basically for free on Kindle. You can find me on Amazon, Spotify. Yeah, I listen to it all the time when I drive, so it's a good one.
Excellent. I'll look up to it. Yeah. So the Matrix is my major interest.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's my favorite movie. Yeah. So I
Yes,
have to read your book. Yeah. Thank you
but that's
for
awesome.
sharing that. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. So Matrix, the movie Matrix made the popular the idea of
Mhm.
a computer
I
generated.
see why. I see why. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So then in early 2000, Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom, yeah, he also popularized the idea. Yeah, he got the simulation argument. Yeah, he published a very famous paper. It's called
Okay. So what is the actual argument of simulation? If you could break that down for the audience. So I think I understand what you're saying, but really for the larger audience, can you break down what you think is simulation and then tie that back to the Matrix movie maybe so people can really understand what you mean?
yeah. I mean, the Matrix movie makes people think the reality might be a computer-generated reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nick Bostrom argued from the anthropology point of view. I think the advanced civilization in the future with the very advanced technology will bound to do some simulation of their ancestors. Yeah. So our offspring in the future will be very curious about
To how we existed and
yeah
so
how their ancestors lived and worked. Yeah. He's talking about a very long time later, our offsprings with very advanced technology, the technology can produce the reality as real as the physical reality. So he think those offsprings, advanced offsprings, will be very interested to simulate what their ancestors look like and how they lived their life. And therefore, there's a good chance that we are actually their ancestors in this simulation. That's his main argument.
And so wherever they are outside of our realm of existence, even though they are our offspring.
I don't think he made it very clear. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying, but I'm just like taking it a step further to say, okay, if that is true, then that also would be true, right?
Yeah. But that's a sort of well accepted argument. People think, oh yeah, that's a reasonable argument. Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, I think there's another way to look at it. Yeah. In Nick Bostrom's point of view, the computer which rendered the matrix is still in a material reality. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
So he extended the timeline into the future. But the computer which generate the simulation is still in the material reality. Yeah, it's our offspring. Yeah.
Okay.
My approach is different in that I think the computer is not in this reality. It's not in the material world. It's outside the material reality.
So at least our version of it.
Yeah, it's not in the space and time
that we are in. It's in a
Yeah,
different type
it's
of
different. It's beyond this space and beyond our time. It's outside the universe. Yeah. So that's the main difference. And his version of the computer is in the universe, whereas in my model, the computer is outside the universe.
universe. Okay.
Outside this universe.
Outside our universe, yes, that is.
Outside our universe, yeah. Because when you play video games, yeah, like GTA, yeah, you cannot find Xbox inside the GTA game. Yeah, you
Right.
cannot find PlayStation inside GTA. Yeah,
Yes.
the GTA, it's a game, yeah, outside the box actually. The Xbox outside the GTA.
Right.
So my
Yeah, I
argument.
see what you mean. The console is not in the game, but the console is creating the reality of the game.
Yeah, you have a space time, and then you have the game. But that space time and the contents of the space time, which is the game, is not. It's outside. Well, I mean, the Xbox is outside that space time.
Yes, Xbox is
Yeah.
outside. I understand the analogy. Okay, can
Yeah.
we? So how does that tie into your theory of Platonic consciousness or Platonic computation?
So if the computer which rendered this reality is outside the space and time, and then we have to locate it somewhere else. So there are several options to locate this computer. We can locate it, for example, in black hole, maybe. Yeah. So, but the problem is that if you locate the computer in the black hole, nothing can get out of the black hole. Yeah.
So it's a one-way trip. And even if you did find it, you will never be able to tell us.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's not observable. Nothing can get out, even the light. Therefore, even there's a computer in the black hole, you can't get the result out.
Out, yeah.
Yeah. So
so basically what you're saying is black holes could be an actual design feature to protect us from getting out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
So it cannot be in a black hole. It seemed to me the only kind of place, yeah, where we can locate this computer is something called the realm of forms proposed by Plato. I don't know whether you're familiar with Plato.
I'm familiar with Plato. I'm slightly familiar with the realm of form. Let me see if I get this right. So the realm of form, essentially, it's an alternate reality where the perfected version of everything that exists here actually exists there. Is that
That's
right?
that's correct. Yeah. So according to Plato, there is a realm of forms, which is real, more real. Yeah. It's a perfect, it's the archetype of everything existing in the physical reality.
And
Actually,
so,
everything in physical form is only a shadow or poor imitation
of what actually exists in this realm of
in a realm of forms. And that
so our
real,
universe is like a knockoff or projection of
that's
what
right. It's
just like
a
3D,
shadow.
2D shadow,
Yeah,
whatever dimension that is, it cast it down to 3D.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a poor imitation. Yeah, it's like a shadow. It's a very poor imitation of the real thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, so therefore, everything in the physical reality has a correspondent archetype in the realm of forms. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we have an apple here, we have different kind of apple, red apple, green apple, sweet, sour apple.
Mhm.
But in the realm of forms, there's appleness. Yeah.
So there's the
Which is
perfect
the
apple in the realm.
perfect apple. It's the essence of the apple. Yeah. So everything in the physical reality has a corresponding root archetype in the realm of forms. Yeah. It's also like we have a different kind of dogs. I don't know whether you have dog, but
No, not
yeah,
a
we have all sorts of dogs. Yeah. And different shape and sizes. But in the realm of forms, there's archetype dog. It's called dogness. It's a
okay.
perfect dog.
Yeah. I have a question. So in the realm of form, and I don't know the answer to this question. I don't really have an opinion either way. Is there just one archetype or something, or are there multiple, or just one? Let's say there's one archetype for humans. Is there like an archetype for men versus women, and then is there an archetype for a short person versus a tall person, or is it just one archetype of person?
Uh, in my theory, actually, I developed the realm of forms a bit further. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Uh, so let me go back to that. Uh, we have an apple, we have a dog, we have all sorts of archetypes, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever we have in physical reality, we can find something more original in the realm of forms, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
including computer. We have a physical
Makes sense.
computer made of
Yeah.
silicon, and we must have a correspondence, a perfect, even more powerful computer in the realm of forms. I call it Platonic computer.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's
Is there
how
just one of those, or is there more than one platonic? Do you think?
yeah, let's go back to the Platonic realm. In my model, actually, what's beyond this physical reality has many layers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's multiple parallel layers. You can call it the plane beyond this physical plane. Physical plane is one of the many planes of reality.
Okay.
Okay. And those planes converge. Yeah.
Okay.
Until singularity. So it converges, the diversity converge into singularity.
And this
Yeah.
singularity is what you
So
call.
depends on the level of the reality beyond the physical. You have a different number of archetypes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
understand.
so
Okay.
beyond this physical reality, maybe one level above,
Mhm.
you might have a woman and a man. You have a white man, black man, and all those categories, they have an archetype.
Okay.
Yeah. But going further above, and those also merges, also converge into one woman, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a
And
cone of
the one man, and the woman and the man eventually also merges.
into one
So
archetype at the end of it.
that's right. Yeah. Then it become one archetype. Yeah. I actually think all the women probably merge into Eve, for example.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All the men converge to
Yeah.
Adam.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but when you diverge, when you moving from the singularity, moving down, you create different layer reality, and that diversity happens.
And it comes all down. So we're basically at the bottom of the food chain.
No, because we are making another layer, which we call it virtual reality.
Oh, so now yeah, that's right. We're creating this
We are
whole
creating another layer
reality.
below. Yeah, we call it virtual reality. We use our physical computer, create another layers below us, another plan. Basically,
And
metaverse is basically another plan we create. However, our
another
plan
universe,
itself
basically,
is created by the layer above.
above.
Yeah,
Oh.
so that's my model.
And do you see how so if I think about what you're saying critically, what I'm beginning to see is that if you find yourself, so I'm thinking about a video game character, right? There's no way they could ever figure out that they're in a video game. They could never come out of that game and see you playing them in the character. They are stuck there forever. Or could they get out of the game and figure out, oh no, I mean I'm not in reality. This was just all created by this Xbox right here. It's almost as if you are in that plane, at least in the case of us with virtual reality, a character in the virtual reality could never really understand our reality, can they? I don't think they can. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, the layer below cannot understand us.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Right.
virtual reality we created cannot understand us.
Cannot understand us. I agree.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but we can understand them.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
makes me believe that, okay, if that is true, then maybe that is why we don't understand the level above us. For the same reason, right? We don't have access to the actual computer. We don't really understand that we are in a simulation. It's not intuitive. Like when you're walking around, it's not intuitive to me that I'm in a simulation. But I very well may be. I just don't know.
So the layer above will be able to understand us.
Yes, that is true. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
And can we understand them though? Can we understand the layer? We being in this world, can we understand? Can we genuinely, truly perceive and understand them in the same way that we perceive and understand the reality, our reality or the reality below us?
It depends. Yeah, each one is different.
Okay.
Each person's level of consciousness is different.
Okay.
So in my model, we actually exist at all levels already.
Oh,
So we are all the way up to the top.
and is
We are
that
not,
so?
we,
When you say us, is this you're referring to us humans or all reality together?
or eventually all reality together. Yeah, but even as a human, as one individual human, we exist at all levels. But normally, we only play this level. We play this physical game. Yeah, the other level of ourself is dormant. Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a nested Russian doll. Yeah, we have layers of us. Okay, and each layer has a level of consciousness, yeah, which may or may not be awakened. Yeah, and most of us only sort of put our attention into this physical reality. Yeah, we are not actually active at other levels, but some of human beings are active. Yeah, and those are achievers. Those are the actually make changes in the society. And those are the people who actually can perform those magics. Because when you think about magics, if this is a rendered reality, and all you need to do is actually to access the computer which render this reality and change a few codes, and then this reality will change.
As
So
you see.
that's how I explain all the paranormal phenomena.
So the paranormal phenomena, at least whenever you see it in people, these are people that basically have a have have awoken their consciousness and understand how to access the computer that is running this reality, and somehow getting like a unique software update to their own consciousness that allows them to do certain things.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
If they are awakened at the higher level, then they will be able to interact with the computer, interact with the machine. Yeah.
With the source of rendering, basically.
Yeah, which is the source of rendering. And the machine itself is already intelligent. Yeah. It's like a OpenAI, Sora. All you need to do is to tell it what to do. It
And it
does
just
the job
does it.
for you. You don't even need to write the code or change the code. You just interact. You talk to it.
You just engage it and you just express what you want, and it's almost as if you just manifest.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's like an OpenAI Sora. Yeah. It just does the job for you, provided you're able to interact with the machine.
You have to be able to interact and then just basically tell it. It sounds a lot like somebody, like a Christian, saying if you pray to God and God answers your prayers and it just happens. It sounds a lot like that, like almost like a religious thing.
Well, yeah, in sort of practical sense, I mean,
Even though
prayer,
it's really not. It's just really like logical. Like
it's logical. It's logical. It has the mechanism. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, religious traditions, they don't have mechanism how the God created the universe. Yeah. They just
No,
tell you,
you just
yeah,
he did it.
yeah, it just tell you God created the universe. They don't tell you how it
There's a
was.
lot of holes in that story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes in the story of the Bible.
And in my model, basically God, which is our true self, because everyone eventually converge into one point, which I call it meta consciousness.
Oh, meta consciousness.
Yeah, meta
I've heard
consciousness.
people call that thing the source or the light.
Yeah, different people have different vocabulary to
For it,
describe
but I
it.
think you're all describing kind of the same thing, like the ultimate, like everything goes back to it. Like that is the
That's
beginning
it. That's the beginning.
generation.
The
Yeah.
beginning. And because I want to build a scientific model, I choose a set of scientific vocabulary to describe it. Yeah,
Describe.
consciousness now, yeah, because the AI research, consciousness now is the subject of scientific research, actually.
Yeah.
And therefore, I choose the vocabulary called meta-consciousness, which is the ultimate reality. which is the source of everything. And
Okay.
and from that you
And
create.
so is that what you call Platonic computation? The fact that this meta source basically creates all these layers all the way to us, and then now us doing the virtual reality? Would that be a good way to describe your theory of?
That's right. Yeah. So this matter consciousness create a machine first and use that machine to create all the layers of reality.
Oh, so the meta consciousness exists not only outside of our reality, exists outside of that machine that is generating all these layers of reality.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. The ultimate reality, meta consciousness, firstly create the machine. Yeah. And they create the machine by create diversity. The simplest diversity actually is the binary. It's the polarity. Yeah. And
North, south, plus, minus, man, woman.
yeah. Actually more abstract than that. I mean, different spiritual traditions have different ways actually to express that duality or polarity. Yeah. In Abrahamic tradition, we have this God, and God create the light. Yeah, let there be light.
Let there be light. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and then he separate light from darkness. Now you
Energy.
have the polarity. Now you have the polarity. Yeah, you have light and darkness.
Right. Right. Okay. That's true.
And that's the polarity. In Hindu tradition, you have a Brahman, which is the ultimate reality. And the Brahman split into two, which is Saguna Brahman, Naguna Brahman. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which is the Brahman with attributes, Brahman without attributes. So it's also polarity. It's a binary.
Binary. Okay.
In Taoist tradition, you have this Tao, which is ultimate reality, and it's split up to yin and yang. Yin and yang is
Yeah.
also
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, it's a polarity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Buddhist tradition, you have this nirvana, yeah, which is ultimate reality. And you have Samyata, you have Avapta, which is also polarity. Yeah. So basically, as long as you have this polarity, which is basically zeros and ones, yeah. And with zeros, ones, with this polarity, you can create a database. Yeah. Basically, data is strings of zeros, ones.
Yeah.
And you
True.
can write the program with it. Yeah.
But,
Program is also, machine language is also binary.
yeah. So all the complexity just comes from two binaries.
Two binary.
Two opposite. You just start mixing them in all kinds
That's
of
right. Yeah.
and then you have to end up with all this diversity.
Yeah. Even the machine. I mean, machine, the computer basically is a switch, on-off switch. As long as you have this polarity, you can switch between each other. Then you can build a machine. Yeah. So the source create polarity, and with the polarity, you can build up data program, the processor. And with this data program processor, basically it's the machine, which you can render everything. Yeah.
Okay,
In the Platonic, sorry.
So in order for that to be true, it's true that with binary with ones and zeros you create all of that. But I see two requirements. In order you can have one and zeros, but if you don't have energy and if you don't have something like either intelligence or consciousness, you really can't create diversity, intelligent diversity, because everything in the world, even the most random thing that you wouldn't think about, actually plays a mission critical role. When I think about life and the world, right? You can have all these ones and zeros, but you need energy and then you need something, some kind of intelligence to put it all together, or at least to kind of program it to exist.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, that's, if what you're saying is true, then there has to be some type of intelligence and consciousness that initiated this whole thing. It cannot just be it cannot be that random. There has to be, you need the binaries, yes, zero and ones, but you need energy, because if you don't have energy, nothing really happens. And two, you need some kind of engineering behind it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. It can't be just like, even the proof looks proof to you, but it's really not just proof. It's actually, there's a reason why it proves like that versus like this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You're right. I mean, you need a programmer in a
yeah,
sense. Yeah. Even you have the raw material, you have 0 ones, you need to put the zeros ones in the right place at the right
exactly,
time. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And that's only one way to look at it. Yeah. Another way to look at it is that some people, they don't like intelligent design. Okay.
I
They,
know,
yeah, they don't like it. And
but yeah,
what you have been talking about implies intelligent design. There's
yeah,
something intelligent, which is one of the ways which can realize this. Yeah. Another way to realize the creation is actually true random. Yeah. So truly random. Yeah. It's like you put a monkey on a computer keyboard. Yeah. Given enough time, it can type out Shakespeare.
if you give it a long enough time to
Long
create,
enough time. Long enough time.
eventually the
Yeah.
probability is not zero. Okay, I see what you're saying. So randomness is just much less likely, but it's nonetheless likely that it could also have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said
If
all of
if 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 you don't like intelligent design, then you can choose
random.
true
So it's
random.
only two options.
Yeah, yeah, you have two options. Yeah. I mean, truly random thing, yeah, you work on IT, you would understand. If even one symbol wrong, you cannot run the program. Yeah.
Mhm.
However, everything has to be right. Yeah.
Everything has to
Ho-
be right.
ho- However, if you have plenty of time, if time is not the issue, you can keep trying. Yeah.
And eventually,
Maybe one of the program will go through, and then you start.
yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Because
Yeah.
I'm not a programmer, I've written a little bit of code, and one thing I know about coding is whenever you write your code, you have to compile it, and that's how you know if your code is gonna work. So if a monkey is sitting in front of a, let's say hypothetically, he's trying to create a video game and he has no idea what he's doing. If you give him enough time, he's gonna run, he's gonna write code, compile it, he's gonna error. But with enough time and enough random trying, eventually one that code is gonna compile eventually. But that's looking at forever time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's right. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that if you don't like intelligent design, the model still works.
the model still works even if you do
Yeah.
random. That is true. That is true. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking
Yeah.
at it from the your perspective, I get what you're saying. Looking at
Yeah.
it from atomic
Uh,
computation.
in terms of energy, yeah, which is also necessary to run the machine.
Yes.
Yeah. In my model, I mean, the energy is inherent in the meta consciousness.
Okay.
And,
Meta consciousness also. Oh yeah, that's right. So the meta consciousness already has energy for it to exist and enough energy to power the computer itself.
yeah, once it created the polarity, because it's ultimately it's only one, yeah, only
Mm-hmm.
one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, everything is one. You can only create one, which is existence. Yeah, beyond the existence is non-existence. Yeah,
And by definition,
existence
that doesn't exist.
existence is one. Yeah,
Right.
but if you create polarity from this one, the polarity cannot coexist
with
at
that
the ultimate level. It has to alternate. Yeah, it has to alternate.
between the layers or within the layers?
In the ultimate layer, it's meta-consciousness, and then it creates one. Yeah. And then next level is the polarity. Yeah. But in terms of the level one, the polarity cannot exist at the same time. It has to sort of alternate. And alternating of the polarity is actually time itself.
Oh.
So it has the time, and within the time, it has the energy because it alternates. The energy to drive the alternation is the energy to run the clock
of time.
The ultimate clock is basically the alternating polarity.
Wow.
That's how the time is created, from polarity.
Can you break that down? I'm not sure I follow. So the changing of polarity from 1 to say 0 or not 1 is what creates time.
Yes. It negates, it's negation every step. Yeah.
Okay. So 1 and negative
1, 0, then negate to 1, and negate to 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. It keeps negating. And that's the clock. At the same time, that's the driving force for the computer to work.
Okay.
Computer is basically driven by the clock. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's powering.
Powering the clock, and the
yeah,
clock powering the clock, and the clock powering the machine.
Right. So it's powering the clock and the clock powering the machine at the same time. Oof.
It's very abstract. Yeah. But yeah, if you read my paper, you probably can understand better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
once you have this clock, you can drive this machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at each level of the creation, you have a different clock speed. That's another feature of my model.
Okay. So you have the clock.
You have this machine built up by this polarity. Yeah. Once you have the machine, you can run the machine at a different clock speed.
Okay.
At each clock speed, you create a plane of existence.
And you can have an infinite number of different speeds, basically. You could split it out. So there could be a few realities above us, or there could be an infinite number of realities above us.
Yeah.
But that is kind of that difference in speed of that clock is basically what creates that layer.
That's right.
Reality.
That's right. Yeah. And that layer of reality created by a specific clock speed also have a vibration frequency. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have a clock in the computer, you would have the refresh rate of this display. Yeah. You have the refresh rate. And that refresh rate corresponds to the vibration frequency of that level of reality.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. So that frequency is tied to that clock speed.
Yeah,
It also be the what you're calling the refresh rate
that's right.
to make sure that your RAM is
Yeah,
basically
yeah. So that level of reality is only perceivable by a being when that being tuned into that frequency.
so the reason somebody in reality, let's say you have reality one and reality two. So somebody in reality two can tune their consciousness to the frequency of reality one and basically perceive it, not be there, but
Yes.
be able to perceive it and understand it and see things and get information basically from this reality
Yeah, that's
rather
right.
than in this lower reality.
Yeah.
Okay,
It, it,
got
it's
that
like
part.
it's like a tuning into a radio or TV station.
In the same way that you could switch from channels to channel one to channel two. Yeah,
That's
that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah. So
That's easy to understand. Yeah.
yeah, if you understand that, you can understand UFO. Yeah. UFO is basically another level reality.
So are you saying that those
They are UFO are not from another planet, millions of light years away. They are not. They are here already. It's like a different TV station already here, already in this space. Yeah, different radio station, TV stations already here in this
But
space.
if you don't access them, you don't see them, even though
That's
they're
right.
there.
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes the UFO tune into Earth's frequency from that default frequency. Then they become observable by us.
Or so you can either the UFOs in whatever reality they are, they can tune their own consciousness to the frequency of our reality, and then we can
Yes,
see them.
that's right.
The
Then
same
they
way
become
somebody,
observable. Once they change back to that default frequency, they disappear.
or
Yeah,
that gives us the illusion of somebody disappearing.
that's right.
It's basically
Yeah,
just technology where they just switch out the frequency and whatever you perceive just is as though it doesn't exist. Even though it's really there, you just can't perceive it because you're not.
that's right. Yeah. Another way they become perceivable is some people, some individual can tune into that frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
yeah.
yeah. So for those people, UFO is always available.
Wow. So there's people that walk around and they just constantly see the other reality just because their consciousness is already tuned to that
Yeah,
frequency of reality.
that's right.
So they just see it as though it's in this reality.
Yeah. It's like they are wearing a AR goggle. Yeah, augmented reality goggle.
And they are just basically seeing as though they are in
They can perceive this reality, material reality. At the same time, they have another layer
reality.
super superposition into.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So some people can see other realities simultaneously. Not only UFO, they can see all sorts of things, which normally we cannot see, but they can see. Because they all...
We're talking about paranormal.
Yes, yeah. That's why they can sort of see all sorts of things. They can gather all sorts of information because they operate at multiple frequency simultaneously.
So how can somebody then use this information to either how can they use it to better themselves? What does that really mean for if somebody didn't know this and now, and that includes me, how do I use this information to improve my quality of life, to improve my existence? How can I use this? I can think of some ways, but I just want to understand how you envision this impacting humanity, impacting the people of the world today?
I think first of all, you need to understand who you are. Yeah. You are not just this physical being.
Just this flesh.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay. That's
Yeah.
one thing to
One
really
thing. Yeah. You need to understand you are at all level of reality. And your true self is actually at the top. Yeah. And that guy basically.
That doesn't that mean that we are all basically the same person?
Ultimately.
Yes, we are all the same person. There's just one of us. We are all the same. But we just kind of look different, but really
No. Ultimately, at the top, we are one.
we are one. That's what I'm saying.
But
You really feel that. Yeah.
That one, I call it meta-consciousness. I define the meta-consciousness as the power
The soul.
to perceive, and to be self-aware. Yeah.
The power to perceive and to be self-aware.
To perceive,
Mm-hmm.
to conceive. Power to conceive means to create. Yeah.
Okay.
And so at the top, we have the ultimate infinite creativity. And we express that creativity through this combination of polarity, a combination of making programs, making data, making the machine running. And then we create layers, multi-layers reality. And we choose one of the avatars we created to experience a specific time and space and environment. At the moment, that guy experienced myself sitting here, yeah, in London, talking to you. Yeah. So with this character, I perceive from my physical eye, from this position in the universe at this time. Yeah.
Right.
And you are doing the same. But ultimately, we are fragmentation of this one. Yeah. Because the ultimate infinite creativity express the creativity into diversity, and also it wants to perceive its creation, experience its creation from different point of view, from different space and time, from different environment. So that's why we have different avatars the player play.
Yeah.
In order to experience his own creation.
So do you understand this meta consciousness as a religious or spiritual being, or do you understand it as just an entity that just happened to exist? What do you think is the meaning of existence then?
For the meta consciousness, the meaning is to create, to experience its creation. That's how I define it. It's the ultimate infinite creativity, an infinite power to create, an infinite power to experience its creation from different angle, from different point of view.
Different point of view, which is why you have such diversity, not just of people, of thought, of characters. You have love and hate, you have war, you have peace, you have rich, you have poor, you have power, you have powerless, you have prisoners, you have those that are free. And so this consciousness is basically just experiencing the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Everything in between. Because it's ultimate creativity. Yeah.
So that's the whole purpose, just to experience the whole thing. Is there something that you think it gets out of experiencing this? Is it learning? And the reason I'm asking is because I heard Elon Musk say something. He said about the simulation. He said that at Tesla and at SpaceX, they run a lot of simulations. And the reason they run simulations is not because they know what's going to happen, it's because they don't know what's going to happen. And they want to find out what happens when you change this, or when you move X, or when you make this change. That's why they run it. And so, do you think it's the same reason that meta consciousness is running this? He just wants to know what happens whenever all this diversity just coexist. Would that be a valid reason to just experience this? Because I'm really trying to figure out like what is the purpose, what is the meaning? And I understand you said it's to create and to experience, but is that really it? Okay, I just want to see what happens, and then you find out. Because I think we humans are kind of like cyclical. We keep doing the same things over and over, and we don't learn what happened. We don't learn from our history, and we think we know it all, and then we'll go ahead and make the same mistakes over and over again. If I was meta consciousness, I'll get bored with seeing the same thing over and over, or just get mad and just shut it down. I mean, I've seen this, I've seen that, I've seen that. Is it? I don't know. I guess I'm really trying to understand his thought process in the mind of meta consciousness. What is he thinking? That's kind of hard to do, huh?
I mean, it's the ultimate potentiality. And with that potential, you have an urge to express it, I think. And then you have an urge to experience what's been created. And
Well, so you don't think there is this idea, because I had come to the conclusion that the reason for all existence is love. I mean, in its purest form, just love and appreciation. You just want to obviously experience and appreciate and enjoy whatever you just experienced. Which is why I'm kind of if the reason for existence is not love, it's just to experience, then is our exist
well, another way to look at it is actually love. Yeah, the ultimate reality is love.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it's love. It's only because I want to create a scientific model. I don't talk about love. Actually, the love is also in it. I mean, it is actually, love is another name for the meta consciousness. And the love can also be expressed through diversity. Yeah. If you don't have diversity, you cannot experience, for example, love between men and women. You need diversity to experience love between men and women.
You need a man and you need a woman.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So diversity is one way to express love. Yeah, it is love. Yeah. And also, if we understand everything, everyone, every person is ultimately one. Yeah. Now we don't actually fight that much. Yeah. We can still play fight, but we don't fight as a hatred. Yeah. So because ultimately it's like hurting your own finger. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's ultimately it's one, it's different part. Yeah. You express as a finger. I expressed as a feet. Yeah. It's no point to kick your hand with your foot. But on the other hand, I actually think we are here to experience ignorance. Yeah.
Which is the other side? Which is the other side of knowing versus knowing. So you want to experience. So we are part of our experience is to experience what it means to not know anything.
That's right. That's also an experience. Yeah. If you know everything, you want to find out what's it like to be not knowing anything. That's experience.
Or having the illusion of not knowing, because ultimately, you get you if you meditate enough or if you do research enough, if you read enough, then you're gonna have the information. So okay, you're experiencing ignorance, but with the potential of then gaining knowledge,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Then you experience both sides. Yeah. Not only one side. Yeah. You always know and you know everything. And it's kind of boring. When we were little, we actually played games. For example, we hide and seek, we blindfold ourselves. Yeah. Although we
Well,
can see, we actually blindfold ourselves. Yeah, we try to think.
experience what it means to not see.
Yeah, that's right. We bump into things, we hurt ourselves, but
And that is the experience. You
that's
didn't see.
experience. Yeah,
So
yeah,
experience
and
that.
we had the fun from that.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun to do.
Yes, yes,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. Wow. That is interesting. I tend to be very curious. I like to absorb a lot of information. I'm gonna have to say you've really, I know you planned for this to be a conversation, but I've learned a lot from you. Yeah, you've given me a lot to think about, to be completely honest. That I have to go, do more research and try to learn and understand. So I have another question for you. What do you think then? What would be the answer to what does it mean to be human? To be human, what does it mean? Because I say human as compared to being a dog or being a cow or being another type of animal. I don't really. I'm not saying it because I think it was spatial. I'm just asking the question because I happen to be human now, and I want to understand what it means to be human.
Hmm.
Knowing all of this information, where does that leave us? What does it then mean? Because it could go either way. Somebody could listen to this and come to the conclusion that, oh, so it really doesn't matter what I do with my life. I mean, I'm just a fragment of some way higher personal reality, and whether I go up or down or I live or die doesn't really matter. Or somebody could listen to the same conversation and go, I am all of this. So maybe I need to be the best version of myself. Maybe I need to get as close to who I really am as possible. See what I mean?
Hmm.
So maybe it would be, it would make sense to kind of tie these two things together, knowing that you are human being, you're Homo sapiens sapien, and then, but also realizing that, oh my God, I am part of this thing, and all the people around me are really just different versions of myself.
Hmm.
What does it then mean to be human in this context?
Well, you can only sort of concern yourself. I mean, humans have a different states of consciousness. Yeah, each one is different. Yeah, each one of us are here to experience different things. And for people who realize their true self, really what they should do is to express that love. As you said, it's the love ultimately. And once you realize that, and all you need to do is to express that love in your life. Yeah. No matter what you do. Yeah.
Wow.
And for other people, they may not realize this. And they may be here actually to experience ignorance. Yeah. And they do silly things. They hurt themselves.
Okay.
And but that's also experience. Yeah.
So I have a question. So
So you cannot see what's is the purpose of human, being a human, because everyone's different.
yeah,
Yeah,
everyone is
different people have different purpose. Yeah.
yeah, basically it's almost as though even though you know everybody exists, you really can't experience their consciousness. It's at this time you can truly only experience yours,
Hmm.
your consciousness at every time because I know you're alive and you're talking to me right now, but I really have no way other than, me seeing you talk or me having the illusion. This could be a recording, like, you have simulation to do, you have all these applications. You could be real or not real. So I truly can't experience your consciousness the way I'm experiencing mine,
That's right.
even though we are really truly experiencing the same consciousness. But in this state right now, I just can't experience you. But ultimately, you and I and everybody else is kind of experiencing the same thing, even though we
Well, ultimately, it's the meta consciousness, as I define it, is the power to conceive, power to perceive, and power to be
experience.
aware of ourselves. So that's universal. That's same to everybody. Yeah, but that meta consciousness is actually contentless. Yeah, there's no content. It's just pure power. Yeah, we different individual consciousness experience different contents. Yeah. So you have this consciousness and you have this contents of consciousness. And the contents are created by this computation.
Okay. So let's take a step back here. How would you define consciousness? Because when you hear
consciousness is the power to conceive, to perceive, and be self-aware. That's consciousness. And which is emptiness, which is pure and contentless. Then use this machine, you create contents. Therefore, each of us, individual consciousness, create different contents. Yeah. And the purpose of human compared with other animals or plants is that our capacity to experience the amount of contents are much higher. We have much higher capacity for experience different diversity of contents.
Than other animals, you mean?
Yeah, compare with animals.
Compared with animals.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, our perception capabilities are more advanced, so to speak?
Not only perception, I mean, perception.
Okay, ability to perceive
one kind of experience. Yeah, you have a feelings, emotion, you have a thoughts. Yeah, all those are contents of consciousness.
Yeah, I see. It's interesting that you say this because one of the things, so the title of my book is The Matrix Explained, Redefining Your User Role. So I work in IT, and a few years ago, I came to a realization that in reality, if you take away all the labels, professor, your name, your gender, your height, your sex, your nationality, at the end of the day, we are just imagine a whole bunch of humans having no other attribute but the fact that they're just alive. And then now you start adding all these other attributes, your mom, your dad, your John, your Jake, your president, your governor, your doctor, your engineer. And then I realized that, oh, wait a minute, these are all just user roles within our reality. So everybody, you have two hands, you have a brain, you have two eyes, but you are an expert at doing X. You are an expert at doing Y. You have a talent to do X. You have the capability of doing X. So some of these attributes I think are natural, like the difference between men and women. Women, for instance, can carry a baby, men cannot. That's like a user role, but it's like intrinsic. It's like the system is like hard coded, so to speak, right? And then you have these other ones that are fluid. You're a boy, you're a girl, but you grew up to be an engineer. She grew up to be a lawyer. At the end of the day, that's just a man and a woman, and then you have the user role. So I was talking about it to let people realize that, wait a minute, you can literally change your user role and be who you are, you can be almost anything if you truly understand that. First of all, whoever you want to be is just a user role. Second of all, who you have to understand the context, because somebody that is in China is not in America. Context is super important. You have to understand the context, without which you're not going to get there. So you have to understand the fact that it's user roles. You have to understand that you are actually in a system. You have the healthcare system, you have a government, you have a school. So you have the family unit, that's a system. The government is a system, the education, the banking system. So you have all these subsystems that just coexist. And then you exist now within this ecosystem. And so if you truly understand user role and truly understand your context, you can basically start from scratch anywhere and be successful. You really can if you truly understand it. It can work anywhere. You just have to understand that, this is America, this is how it works here. This is China, this is how it works here. This is Europe, this is how it works here. You can just figure out, redefine your user role, pick something, pick a career, learn something new, and go market yourself in your context and see it happen. Now, it's not the same for everybody. Some user roles are harder than others. Obviously, a surgeon takes longer to become a surgeon versus you being, I don't know, a writer or somebody that does poetry. And so this is actually something I did a deep dive on when I was writing my book, and I was amazed at how crazy once you have that understanding and if you truly implement it, it wouldn't happen in one day, but I can guarantee that if you really apply this systematically, you basically can be successful at anything. You just really have to understand what is it, who you are, and how the system works, and how to define that user role of yours. Because in IT, every system I work on the back end, there's the user role. We're going to implement a new system. You have to create the users, give their attributes, their passwords, and in those systems, not every user is the same. You have higher user roles, like you have God mode. You're the president. The decisions you make impact everybody. You're just the governor. It's about user roles, but one is higher than the other. And I figured this whole thing out. I was like, oh my goodness. If you really understand it, then you begin to see that it's not magic. And you can apply this same logic at every level in any society, and it basically holds true. You just really have to understand where you are and who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Success, you mentioned, is also an output of computation. It's a rendering. Yeah. But if you know how the rendering happens, then you can render a success.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, there's different way to do it. And one way is actually to operate at the code level. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can code the process, the code your avatar, and with the aim to output success.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely would agree with that. It's something that and I talk about this in my book, and I was talking about success from the perspective of luck. So people talk about this idea of luck, like, oh, I got lucky, or he got lucky, or they got lucky. But then I try to break down the fact that luck is not as random as you would want to make it, because I say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Because usually what
Excuse me, Armel. I need to plug in my computer. The
Okay.
power is coming down. Yeah. Can you hold on a minute?
Sure.
Yeah. I
Sure.
just the power here.
All right. Yeah, that was that was very, very thoughtful. I just really think that if we could really truly understand our true nature as humans, and I know this is gonna sound so naive of me because I understand geopolitics and war and I understand all that, but still, if we humans could truly understand together as a people that we are truly the same, we share much more than we perceive or intuitively sense that we share, the world would truly be a better place. And I know that's utopic, that's nearly impossible, but the possibility of this happening is also non-zero. It's also non-zero, but it's something that we should strive for, to really understand where we are and do better and be better as humans together living on the planet, you know.
Yeah, I wish everyone's like you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I'm not that optimistic. Yeah.
I'm not either, but I like to hope that, you know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah, it's a good to hope that. But what you describe is actually another plane of existence. Sometimes we call it the heaven. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
already exists.
So it's not
No,
gonna happen here, but it's happening somewhere else where we are all just harmonious
no,
living together.
no. This is a war planet. Yeah.
So
Yeah. This is not heaven.
this is the
I mean,
sandbox.
heaven is somewhere else. It's another plane of existence where they don't even know what is suffering. They don't even have a vocabulary suffering.
Define certain things. Yeah.
Yeah. And whereas here, we have much more diversity. In a way, it's actually more exciting.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. We
So
have
do you-
diversity. We have love. We have a hate. We have fear. We have a confidence, and it's such a spectrum experience we can experience here.
So do you think that, let's say if your theory is true, right? Or let's say if some of it turns out to be true. And I'm only saying this because the scientific method wants to see, conclusive evidence that something is true for it to be true. It's just like right now I could say a tree fell in the forest. That could be true, but if I didn't have a camera to catch that footage, I can't prove it. So therefore it's not true, right? So that's the only reason I'm saying this. So if what you're saying is true or some of it is true, does that mean that um, our current leaders, whether be our religious leaders, our political leaders, our economic leaders, does that mean that not only they are lying to us, they are lying to themselves, and we're all just lying to each other? And some of us may or may not know that we are just living in a lie. And this world is really this bad just because we don't have enough information or understanding of who we are. Even though we think we are the most advanced, generation or I don't know, civilization to have ever existed. But does that really mean that we really don't know that much? Like we're babies just trying to figure it out and we keep thinking that we are so advanced. So we really have no idea, we have no clue.
Hmm. Yeah.
So does that mean our leaders does that really mean we are just lost? Are we lost as a people of the planet?
I think most people are, and
Most
that's probably designed. Yeah, you read the Plato, yeah? You understand when
Yes,
Plato got out, when the character got out of the cave and when he come back, tell the other prisoners in the cave what's it like
yep.
outside. Yeah, they didn't like him.
No, they didn't.
No, no, they didn't.
And it
I
makes
I, I think
this
that's this one is actually the allegory cave.
and so are you saying that all the issues we have with our existence on this planet today, be it sickness, natural disaster, hate, war, famine, and poverty, do you think this is all intentional? There's some level of intentionality behind all these conditions, or is it really just that we can't help it? Is this so is it by design, I guess? Is it by design that we have, for instance, now we have war in Cameroon, my home country? There's basically a civil war that's going on for the last 6 years. And in Israel, you have, Hamas and Israel going at it. You have Iran bombing Israel. You have Russia killing Ukraine. You have war throughout. You're like, is this something that was built into the system? Is that noise or is that part of the signal? Do you know?
Um, as I mentioned, I think most people are here to experience ignorance. And by being ignorant, they do silly things.
Out of ignorance.
Yeah, out of ignorance. So yeah, it's not always predetermined, but because out of ignorance, the things develop like that. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. That you give me something to think about. And maybe ignorance is a design feature of our reality, and our job is to actually beat or overcome our ignorance. Maybe that's part of our purpose to just realize who we really are.
That's probably your purpose, but it's not everyone's purpose.
Why wouldn't it be everyone's purpose to realize who they are? Why would it be limited to some group?
They as I said, they already knew. They knew. They don't need to know. They all already are.
Oh. So
If they are here to experience ignorance, yeah, you can't change them.
because that is basically their purpose to
Yeah,
experience
yeah,
ignorance.
yes.
And no matter what you do, you really can't break that. You can even give them the information.
Yeah, but they won't listen. If they
Yeah.
listen, they probably can't hear.
They won't be able to actually internalize that and operate based off of that. It's like
I
even
think it depends. Maybe some people
can overcome it. Because I
yeah,
would
yeah.
see ignorance as something that is bad, but then it gives you the opportunity to be good, to move forward. I see it as a stepping stone to wisdom because if you just like I said, if you just know it all, then you're bored. But if you're ignorant and you learn something new, like this is blowing my mind that maybe part of the reason we are here is to experience ignorance. I never saw it that way. The first time I'm hearing this. And it kind of sort of makes sense. But then I'm like, why didn't I think about this before? It kind of makes sense that, yeah, because basically everybody born, you basically don't know. And it's true that you have kind of have innate talents and you have people with different abilities to learn, but fundamentally, we are born, all of us are born kind of ignorant about who we really are. And we kind of have to figure that out. Some people figure it out faster, some people figure it out slower. Ultimately, yeah. That's kind of what that comes across as. And that's a big takeaway from me. We are all basically could be trying to on purpose be ignorant and trying to get back to the light. I don't know why I would have agreed to do this, but maybe that's what we all signed up for when we're coming to this reality, right? When we're being born into the world. We're like, you know what? I'm excited to go be ignorant today.
Yeah. I think some people experience ignorance, then from ignorance to enlightenment, and that journey is excitement. Yeah, but not everyone's like that. Some people just I just want to experience ignorance, nothing else. Yeah. And out of experience, I do silly things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have two last questions for you. So one is from me, and then one is from my wife, right? So I'm gonna ask the one from me first. What is your philosophy of life, and why do you believe it?
Yeah, philosophy life is to understand your true self. So with that understanding, you express love. Yeah, in different ways, in different situations. And by knowing yourself, you also know the universe. Yeah, you understand how the universe is constructed. Yeah, and you understand your place in the universe. Yeah, and that's a new way of looking at the universe, a new way to look at yourself. And I think that's not only a philosophy, it also a science. Yeah, it's a science of cosmology, because with this new understanding, we actually have a mechanism. Yeah, although the spiritual tradition has always tell us how the universe was built, it has never had a mechanism. Yeah, how it's built. Like engineer, like us, we are very keen to know.
Yeah, we know how, but we don't know why.
Yeah, how it's being built. Yeah, so with this kind of philosophy, it's also a science at the same time, because we have a mechanism. And with the philosophy, we understand our true nature.
And why do you believe this to be correct?
I think it's beneficial. Yeah. I think the reality is not very easy to know. Yeah. And we build models of reality. Models are not necessarily reality, but model is important
To understand.
to be used as a tool for our
Understand.
understanding, as a tool to help us to make decisions, as a tool to give us directions where to go. I think we can never actually understand reality, to be sure. Yeah, and this is one of the many models we can use it as a tool. I think it's a beneficial tool. It certainly has been benefiting me personally. So I've been using that, and my life has become more relaxed, more confident, yeah, and more beneficial to myself, to others. Yeah. Of course, there's other models. Yeah, like I said, there's materialistic model. There's a religious model. Yeah, those are all models. We cannot treat
And
them as truths. They are not truths, but they are model people can use.
models that allow you to think through what
Yeah,
is reality
that's
ultimately.
right. That's right. So you ask me, how do I know it's true? I don't, to be honest. Yeah, it's just the model I use. It's like a lens, yeah, through which you see things. Yeah, and you can build a different lens. Yeah, and this is one of the many lenses which people can use, and I'm quite happy to share with people.
Okay. So I actually have another question that kind of relates to cosmology. It's about, so it's not just about the Big Bang, but it's about what I just let's just call it the observable universe, right? I have a question about that. So based on our data on the observable universe, we know that everything is moving away from each other faster, right? And the way science, our conventional science explains this is based on the Big Bang theory. That at some point the universe was basically one at one point, and then it's been expanding ever since. And then based on what we also know is that 95 of the gravity that we can perceive in our universe is something that we cannot understand. We don't know where it's coming from, right? So we about all the observable universe mass, universal mass is about 5% of the mass you will need to experience the gravity our universe is experiencing. So, and this is a personal, I don't even call it a theory, it's an idea of mine. I want to throw it out there and just ask you, do you think it's possible that what we observe at the macro scale is just a copycat of what we observe at a nano or sub-nano scale? What that means, what I mean by that is if you look down to our fundamental particles, which is what they have been doing at CERN, you see all these different particles that exist at the subatomic level. And could it be that what we observe today as galaxies, as star systems, as black holes, are all the same kind of things that exist at the micro scale, and then since they just expanded, they just grow bigger? What that will mean is that whatever we observe as gravity could just be a version of a fundamental force that we observe at the micro level. First of all, does that make sense? And do you think that the observable universe today, what we can see, and the fact that everything is expanding, just means that everything that we perceive, if we're able to really figure out our nano, sub-nano scale physics, we can just copy that and overlay it on what we see, and we should be able to see one-to-one patterns between these different cosmological bodies. Like a good example would be maybe the sun and the planet, or let's say maybe our galaxy. What we see as a galaxy could really be just maybe a proton or an electron, or that's the large version of what a proton is at the subatomic scale. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think? What do you think? First of all, do you think that makes sense? And what do you think about the theory, so to speak?
Theories are models, yeah. They are not necessarily reality.
True. Yeah. It's a theory.
Yeah.
You can debunk it if you cannot. You can test it and prove it's wrong. Yeah, it's just a theory. Anybody
Yeah,
can.
that's right. Yeah. So in terms of the Big Bang theory, because we observe the planets going further and further apart and accelerating, then we can model reverse modeling, and we can all come back to the single point.
Yeah.
That everything starts. Yeah, it's a model, but it doesn't mean it actually happened that way. Yeah,
That's true. That is very true.
So
true.
yeah, another way to look at it is just the it's a result of rendering. Yeah, it's being rendered by this machine,
And
and
it's still rendered in that specific way for you to
yeah,
see.
that's right, and they expressed like this way. Yeah, in terms of the dark matter.
Or it could also be that the machine actually rendered the universe, our universe starting with the Big Bang. If that machine is that powerful and capable, then maybe it could create a Big Bang in its simulation and play this
Yes,
out.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
Okay.
I would rather to see it as a rendering, as a result of rendering. Yeah. Before this simulation hypothesis has been sort of invented or developed, I think it's still being developed. It's not complete. But before this hypothesis was proposed, everything was modeled by mathematical equations. I mean, physics is based on mathematical equations. Yeah. I think actually the equation sometimes being overused, over-applied. Yeah. And the equations are summarized from observations, but mostly local observations. Like Newton, he summarized the gravitation law by sort of observing the apple falling and the planets nearby. But that law does not always apply.
That's all have relativity. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think sometimes we over-apply it to much larger scale. For example, in galaxy. Then we find the equation doesn't match. Once we find the equation doesn't balance, we kind of imagine there's something else. We can add it either side of the equation to make it balance. Yeah. So that's why dark matter, dark energy has been proposed. I
guess
actually have a big question mark over this approach. Yeah, I don't think the equation works everywhere.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. Whatever your equation is, so local observation often really doesn't paint a decent picture of the system.
Hmm.
But that's because of maybe it's just because of our perceptive capabilities. We can't really usually perceive the universe in its entirety. We just kind of observe what we see. So what then do you think dark matter or dark energy is, or it's really just dark gravity. We'll just say dark matter because we assume gravity goes with matter. But what do you think
Yeah.
dark energy is?
I think those are the terms which physicists invented to make the equation balance. Yeah.
Okay.
If we are using the simulation hypothesis, we don't need that. Yeah. All we need is to model the observable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dark energy and dark matter are not observable.
But
So
okay,
therefore,
I agree.
I wouldn't bother even to modeling them. Yeah, they are used to balance the equation. Yeah.
Well, they are used to balance the equation, and the reason they are used to balance the equation is because we're observing something that we can't explain. So we're not defining it, we're just saying that we know you're there, but we don't know what you are, but we know you're there. I think that's kind of how I see it.
That's
You're
what
right,
they,
to
they
balance
that,
the equation.
yeah, that's what they say it. Yeah. But if we use simulation hypothesis, we don't need that.
Why wouldn't we need to use dark energy or gravity in the case it's a simulation? It's still a force that we can measure. So it's there, or something is there. Maybe it's not a force,
No, there's something don't need to be there.
but we're measuring.
Because we have this equation, we want to balance this equation, then something has to be there.
Okay, so are you
If we
suggesting
don't use equation, we just use algorithm, we can still describe the dynamics of galaxy. Yeah, we use algorithm. I mean, the simulation hypothesis is encompassing the physics. Yeah, it's not contradicting. I mean, the equations are just the mathematical approximation of
okay,
a
okay, I
program.
think I know what you're saying. So you're
Yeah,
basically saying that the equations are basically wrong.
equations are
At
correct.
the scale of the universe,
Yeah,
the equations
yeah.
are wrong because they
I
don't
think
describe the universe
so.
correctly.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
And so we have just decided to define this term or this thing that our equation doesn't factor or doesn't naturally express in order to make the equation make sense to what we see. But if we had the correct equation, then we wouldn't have nothing, we wouldn't have dark energy. It would just be clear whatever that thing is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And we just need, if you have to use equation, then you need to come up with different equation. You can't just apply the equation we derived in the observing of the nearby planet into galaxy. That's not scientific way of doing it.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
So the scale is different, your equation has to be different. Just like Newton's law describes the local observable solar system correctly, but once you start going either too far or too fast, it breaks down.
that's right. Breaks down. Yeah. And
they
we,
have okay.
yeah, we actually, I don't think we have to use equations. Yeah, as I said, we can use algorithms. We
But
use,
aren't those algorithms based on some mathematical logic?
yeah, or
Which
just by observing the universe, we model it with a program, with the computation. And so that's another way of dealing with this. Yeah. Come back to your question about the micro and macro, maybe kind of copy. I think that's a good idea because lots of things are same. Yeah. In terms of algorithm, it's the same. Like a
yeah,
fractal. Yeah.
exactly.
Fractal patterns, local, small scale fractal, and a bigger fractal, it's the same program.
It's the same logic, it's the same program.
Same logic, it's the same program. Yeah, because by doing so, the system saves a lot of memory.
Yes. And
Yeah,
therefore energy and therefore
you have a same line of code. You just repeat at a different
yeah,
scale, different levels, and
yeah.
that's a very resource efficient way of creation.
It almost sounds like what you would think quantum computing should be. It should be that. It should be it's elegant, it's simple, and it's very, very resilient and scalable.
That's
Like
right.
just like life. It doesn't go away. You can cut the grass, it's gonna come back.
Mm,
People die, but people are gonna get born. People survive all kinds of things.
yeah.
Just like life, it just doesn't go away. It's like the forest. If you were tasked to destroy life on this planet, you would need a ridiculous amount of energy. You would need to just blast the whole thing. It would take you crazy amounts of energy because even the events that we've had in history that almost wiped out our life, it didn't. It almost.
Mm.
That means whoever created the algorithm for life as we know it had to have thought of all these possible scenarios and make sure that no matter what, life doesn't go away. It's so resilient, it's so scalable. You can spread it, you can go to another planet if you have the right resources, and it's insane. But I think I get what you're saying. So it's the same algorithm, and which is what I was kind of describing in that logic, in that thought that I had. That I mean, I'm not saying that I'm meta consciousness, but if I had to do it, that sounds like
Good
an
plan.
efficient way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like a good plan.
It sounds like a good idea, right? Yeah, it does. You just have to manage small scale and large scale and maybe tweak the scale of that force. Because I'm almost sure that if you take the four fundamental forces that we observe at the sub-nano level, and you were able to observe the universe at the universal scale, you would see patterns between your atomic and your cosmic, so to speak. You definitely see patterns, and that sounds to me just an idea I had. I didn't know if it made sense, and so far nobody has told me I'm crazy. I've spoken to a few people about it, and everybody's like, that actually kind of makes sense. So that's a good thing, right? You don't
Yes, yeah.
want people,
Yeah,
but
I'm with you too. Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a good idea, man. That is that is awesome. Man, Mr. Simon, it's been a blast, man. You've given me more time than I thought I was gonna have today, and I would love to do another round with you. As you're available, and I'll be sure to keep you posted whenever I do post. I plan to start posting in August. I may or may not have communicated that, but I will start posting in August, and I'll let you know. I'll send you the links and everything. And so is there any place, how do people either get in contact with you or if people want to find out more about your work, is there a place where they can find your information, YouTube, website, or anything like that, or social media?
Um, yeah, my website is metacomputics.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Metacomputics,
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah. And yeah, I have my X account and YouTube account. You can find from my website. So there's my publications. And also I do a private consultation for people to help them to navigate in the matrix. Yeah.
Wow.
To help them to locate where they are in the matrix. Yeah, because
That makes so much sense to me. I have no idea. I know exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
And
You have
that is very important.
different level plans and where you are, and you can make better resources in the matrix. For those people who are ready to escape the matrix, yeah, I can sort of work with you to build a bespoke roadmap how to get out of the matrix.
And we can find all that information on your website.
Yeah.
So
That's what I do, and I'm happy to talk to you again. And I think you're a deep thinker. I'm very sort of, happy to talk to people like you. I learn a lot from you also, and
thanks. I appreciate
so
that.
I'll check out your book, and thank you
sure.
for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. And hey, have a good rest of your day. I really want to say thank you for giving me a few hours of your lifetime because you spend these hours with me and nobody else. I really, really appreciate that. Lots of respect, and I wish you the best. And I'll definitely be reaching out to you again because I think you have a beautiful mind, and I love to explore minds like yours. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Once you sort of get this out, let me know. I'll promote your channel also. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good, man. I'll definitely be reaching out. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Wow. That was a roller coaster. That was intense. My big takeaways, meta consciousness, the transcendental computer, which is like, think about it as the CPU that runs the universe in a way. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did too. And my hope is that this conversation gave you lots to think about. That's the whole point. I'd like to foster more people to start thinking more critically about everything, about the air you breathe, about the land you're walking on, about the sky, about the sun, about who you are, about your life, about reality. Because I tend to think that the more we think about what our true reality actually is, the more grounded we are, and the less contentious our relationships are going to be. Because once you realize that we are not just made of the same stuff, we are the same stuff, both physically and spiritually, in many respects, then you begin to see how naive or how short-sighted wars and hate and racism and classism and tribalism and all these ailments that we have in society. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, thinking about it is going to make all of this go away, but it's going to have you question why. Why do I hate somebody because of the color of his skin? Why don't I like this person because he's shorter or he has an accent? Why? What makes you think that you're really that much better than the next person? And I know we're going to have some conversation around other things that really impact this. And there are aspects of this conversation that I also cover in my book, The Matrix Explained, Redefining Your User Role. I try not to
make things too esoteric or too hypothetical. I try to make it pragmatic and contextualize it such that it makes sense to you. And this is also something I do cover in my conversation in my book, because it's really more of a conversation, helping you, walking through what my thought process is about life, about people, about society, about this planet, about purpose, about, careers, and there's so much that I cover in there. But hopefully this is a token that I'd like to give to the world to encourage you to question everything, not just political questioning, not just economic, just existential questioning. I've never seen somebody that had existential questions that caused them to cause harm either to themselves or to people. It's a consistent thing. If you meet anybody that is thinking about life and reality in this way, they tend to be more compassionate. They tend to be more pragmatic. They tend to be a useful person in their society within their context. I don't care who you talk to. I don't care what language they speak. I don't care where they're from. I don't care what they do, but it's a consistent thing. I guess what I'm saying is that thinking critically about who you are, what you are, where you are, what you're doing, almost always results in an improvement of your own life and the life of the people that are impacted by you. So thank you, Dr. Simon, for taking the time. We really appreciate it, and would like to have you on the platform as many times as your availability would allow us to. Thanks, everyone. So if you love this content, please hit subscribe, leave your comments. I always love reading my comments. So far, I haven't had anything crazy, so feel free to leave me your comments below. Like, subscribe, and share. Maybe this conversation is gonna help somebody out. Maybe somebody's going to get inspired. Maybe somebody's gonna help somebody resolve some contention that they have in their mind in some way, shape, or form. So thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.